And your line, all yours.
Good morning. Good morning to everybody. It's our honor to be part of mainstream for this first case to help Dr. Samir Mehta, Samin Sharma, Greg Stone, all the board of mainstream to fulfill our commitment and to help them in a way to accomplish this interesting project that I think is going to be very important for education, as everybody pointed out yesterday during the kickoff. Today we are at Favaloro Foundation in Buenos Aires, in Argentina, in a very nice sunny day of the fall. This is our team. Myself, here is Dr. Oscar Mendes. I am the chief of the lab here at Favaloro University Hospital in Fundación Favaloro. Franco is our fellow, is in my right side, and Juan. We have nurses, Matia, technicians, people. Behind the control panel is Gustavo, Hernan, Alberto, our anesthesiologist, Dr. Gomez, and Diego, echocardiographer, who is already here in the lab. We will share with you some slides of this first case. This is the first slide. Let's Proxima, next. So she's 9 years old. He presented with dyspnea in a low functional class. She has a history of hypertension, diabetes, obese, kind of morbid obesity with the body mass index of 37. She suffered also from hyperthyroidism, venous insufficiency, chronic AF, and also a previous hip replacement with some sequela with limitation in her motility. Next. The AEC, she presented with atrial fibrillation with some kind of disturbances conduction in the right branch. So this is one of the reasons why we implanted a pacing before I start the procedure. The blood test, nothing special about that. In the echo Doppler done in another hospital, they observed a tricuspid valve with severe aortic stenosis with a small area, the 0.6 with low gradients, 35 and 21 with a normal left ventricular ejection fraction with a systolic volume of 36. With a calcium score of 1300, as you observe there in the next slide. So in a way, she can be categorized as a severe aortic stenosis with a low flow and low gradient according to this echocardiographic and CT scan evaluation done before this procedure. Next. As usual, we perform a coronary angiography before the procedure. This is the right coronary artery, which is dominant with no significant lesions. Next. On the left coronary artery, the left main is normal, and also LAD and the circumflex are big branches with any kind of significant lesions. This is the CT evaluation in the core lab. So the diameter of the annulus is 19 by 22 with a mean of 20, with a perimeter of 65 millimeters, with an area of 334 square millimeters. And the ascending aorta is 31, as you can observe. One significant issue is she also has small sinus. The 3 sinus are smaller than 27, as you can observe there. The coronary ostium height is 10 for the left, 12 for the right. Next. This is an evaluation that we did here inside in our team. It's quite similar, 18 by 21 the perimeter. The mean is quite similar. The perimeter is 2 millimeters smaller, so in a way it's similar. The ostium height is 11 and 11. And there we found a projection for the cusp right and left cusp overlap of right obliquous 12 and caudal inclination of 8. And on the next, we also observe here the smaller sinus, no significant calcification in these leaflets, so this is important for our strategy. Next. So this is the sinotumoral junction, no significant calcification there. This also is small, 23 millimeters as a maximum. Next. And this is a coronary height. Here is 11 for the right and 10 for the left, but we did other measurement which is between 11 and 12. And the sinus height is 15 millimeters. Next. So this is the angulation of the aorta, 44 degrees, and this is the cusp overlap view. This is another, it's quite different that we found it. So we will check it and we'll decide where we go. Here is 24 right and 13 caudal. So you can write here, the other projection would be 24 derecha and 13 caudal. And next. This is the evaluation for vascular access. In a way, she is a big lady, but with small femoral arteries. We were a little bit worried about that. Next. This is an images, but anyway, the diameters are above 5.5, which is enough, even better, because there is not any significant calcification in both iliac arteries, and bifurcation of the external or the common femoral, is below the femoral head. Next, femoral head. This is the image for the left, quite similar, no significant angulation or tortuosity in the aorta. Let's go with the proxima. Next. So here you can observe the diameter. There is some of 5.5, but all the others are about 6. Next. So according to instruction for use, and let's click in the slide. We have decided according to the perimeters, we are in the borderline between the 23 and 26, but there is one measurement above the 63, and the lady is very big. There are no significant calcification in the leaflets. This is the reason we have decided to go with 26. Although she looks too big, and we think that probably 26 is not big enough, the issue is she has smaller sinus. That's why we stay in the instruction for use for the 26. Next. So in summary, we have an octogenarian with severe aortic stenosis with normal flow but low gradient and morbid obesity. Although she has a low STS score for mortality or morbidity, the heart team, according to all her clinical conditions and the frailty, and they decided or suggested transcatheter aortic valve implantation, TAVI. Next. So in our plan, we have prepared the patient for a transfemoral and direct implantation, because as I showed you before, there is not significant calcification in these valves. So next, let's go to the lab. Let's change the configuration and we can see what we already have done. Okay, let's show the answer. People, let's show the first. As you can observe here, probably if you do some zoom here, we have a femoral access in the left common femoral artery, which was very difficult because she is too obese. Although we use angio and echo, it was not that easy to puncture. And also we have difficulty for the femoral access. This the reason why put the transient pacemaker from here from the right side, which is quite uncommon when we are doing a femoral approach. We cross over with a pigtail and a hydrophilic wire with a high support. Next. Then under ansio, as you can observe, there is not a big artery there, the common femoral artery. We did a puncture, which was also difficult. I need some help for Juan and Franco to move some adipose tissue to make clear the space for the puncture, which was not that easy. Next. So after that, with the puncture, we put the 6 French introducer and we use 2 ProGlide. We were a little bit scared because the distance between the skin and the artery is really long, but anyway, the ProGlide did it well.
No.
Next.
Pero esto es viejo.
So after the puncture, next, which is the next, is where we are now. We have a wire in the ascending aorta. We are going to introduce a 5 French pigtail to cross the valve. We have prepared the valve. After crossing, we will check if the valve is properly loaded. So let's move. Some comment from the echo. Dr. Diego did, mostrame más arriba, did an evaluation before, and the gradient today is a little bit higher. The mean gradient, how much is the mean gradient now?
34.
Okay, 34. So,
¿Cómo es esto?
una gasa grande. So we will try to cross in the simplest way with the pigtail and the G-wire. Remember that this is not a commissional fusion. It's like the Sherman Cars star symbol with limitation of the motility of the leaflets. So if you find this space between the leaflets, it's easy to cross like now. Right oblique. So now let's go with the pigtail to the apex. We can measure gradient here. Let me do 0 before. Un minuto. 1 minute. Let me put the pigtail and we can do with the pigtail. 1 minuto. Okay.
Y yo no tengo comunicación con Oscar. No, y vos le dijiste...
As you can observe, she is on the AF with a frequency which is not very well controlled. This is a patient who is not treated in this hospital, was only transferred for this procedure. This is a particular issue in the management of some patients here in our system. So now we can do 0.
Hablar. Pero no lo escuchamos, él no lo escucha a nosotros.
No.
Okay, perfect. We are not going to expect a very high gradient. It's almost according with the Doppler. We have 60 of between 50 and 60 as a peak gradient. So if we can zoom here a little bit, let me clean my hand. This is the confida wire. We have reshaped it in a small loop in the distal tip of the wire that we normally use it, but in this patient with this small ventricle, very hypertrophic, I think it's important. We introduce also a second bend that we normally use in case we have some difficulty to retrieve the nose cones. If we pull the wire, in some cases we can centralize the nose cones inside the very distal part of the valve and to prevent any kind of movement. So before introducing the wire, let me reshape a little bit again. Put an AP view and we will check. No, anterior. AP. So I forgotten to present Dr. Lev, who also in the control plans, we will act as a moderator. We make some comments or questions, and also translate not. Can make the comments or question that are done online. He will transfer to us. So we will introduce the wire. We have checked the valve. Patient is stable. Now, Juan, I need your help here. So we can put the valve there.
No te escucho.
Patient is a little bit unstable with a lot of stress beats. Quédate ahí. Now, you have to hold the groin. Comprimir. Not bleeding. We haven't done. Yes, people, you're right. Let's check something. Let's go to the working position. We haven't done the ancho before. Thank you so much for letting me know. $22.20. 30, a little bit more. No, menos derecha, más caudal. Ahí, más caudal. It's a little bit uncomfortable. We will try here. We need a little bit more. Un poquito más caudal. Okay. Y un poco más derecha. Quédate ahí, Juan. Okay, this is a final adjustment that sometimes are needed. Well, position is quite uncomfortable, so I think we have to do it here in the near cusp overlap, which is important here, and we have observed this is a very small annulus and sinus for such a big patient, quite rare. First, before introducing the valve, don't pull the wire too much. Déjamela. Ahí, adelante. If we can show here, zoom out, we can see the handle here, and you can observe here the port is oriented at 3 o'clock. So in this position, in about 80% of the cases, as Professor Tang told to everybody, we can reach a perfect commissural alignment. So Franco is holding the wire, but don't pull it too much. Sí. Déjala venir un poco. And we are introducing the valve. So the advance is very smoothly. We will park in the middle part of the pigtail loop. Move there, Juan, guarda. Be prepared with the pacing, 120 or probably 40 because she is with some tachycardia. Test, Juan. Small test. You can. Let's do a zoom. One zoom. Perfect. And move a little bit down the patient. Mueve la cama. There. Perfect. So we can start very slowly, Franco. One is a very small path. Perfect. A little bit high yet. Carmen is prepared because we are ready to deploy the valve. Path. Okay, 140. 140. Spanish. Pull the wire a little bit. It's very unstable. Puff. Let's go, Franco. We cannot go that high as usually work. Dale. With heavily calcified valve because we don't have calcium for baja el marcapaso for stability of the valve. Let's test. Okay, the valve is a little bit deep, but I don't want to go too high because the lack of calcium. Let's go to the left, to the la izquierda rápido because the patient is hypotensive. Test. Okay, I think the position is okay. Mostrarme más arriba. Marca paso de vuelta y vamos. Dale, despacio. Sí, 140, I will push, don't pull. Okay, let's go. Slowly, very slowly. Test. Okay, we are okay. Now, fast. Okay. Perfect. Okay, now we have to recover the patient to see what's going on. The patient is coming back. Let's retrieve first the pigtail. So in case we have some difficulty, we can push the delivery system. I am pushing the wire and very gently pull the cutter. So sometimes we can be very precise, very gentle to change position. But like yesterday, when we did a patient with 10% ejection fraction, we had to decide to deliver the valve as soon as possible because if not, you might not have patient. So I am pulling the wire. As you can observe there, I can centralize the nose cone. And now I push the wire. And I the delivery system with me. So we will prepare the introducer. We can, one is gonna hold the wire. Sorry, the groin. Can you imagine when medicine virus were discovered very few decades ago? And now these fellows are training in a live session that started yesterday in China with a kickoff in New York, and now we are participating. Such a huge change in this past 20 or 30 years, and such a great, contributors like Samir and Samir with a live transmission for so many years, teaching us how to do it, how to handle the situations, and now with this extremely important project. So we will do a small test before just to see. Remember, the valve is going to be a little bit deeper than we usually implant. Let's put 25 because she's with heavy tachycardia. So let's go to the working position, people. Sacale un poco de caudal. I think no, we don't have to use more heparin because we're almost done. I think the outcome is beautiful. As you can observe, almost both sinus are completely collapsed. So probably the depth of the valve is not that deep as is seen here in the aortogram. Let's put in in AP view, and let's check by echo. So Dr. Diego will tell us how is the valve doing. Pone de frente. I think if I were go a little bit higher, I would have some problem with the left main. ¿Podemos verla en eco?
Sí.
Siempre tratando de proteger la cara de la paciente que no se vea. With using the right and left cusp overlap view that Dr. Kemal Gada told to us, being here in this lab with us at the beginning of the experience, we have decreased the rate of permanent pacemaker implantation significantly. In our publication, we decreased from our previous series from 18 to 7%. Now the hospital did an agreement with like a Medicare with a very old patients and sick, so the permanent pacemaker implantation rate is a little bit higher, but we are doing some analysis in our database and we are finding some predictors. Conduction disturbance for sure is one of the most important. In patients without conduction disturbances, the pacemaker implantation rate here in Favaloro is quite about 2%. And I am talking about self-expandable valve, yes? And patients with conduction disturbance is a little bit higher. In patients with right branch or trifascicular block is quite 20, 25 or something like this. I think this is a very important finding because we are now simplifying the procedure. As you know, we did the procedure in almost 10 minutes. And some doctors would ask why this patient cannot go home today. In this case, especially because the groin is a problem, we will see how we can fix it at the end of the procedure. And then because she has she has conduction disturbances. She has AEF and also ME block of the right bundle branch. So this is a patient not for being discharged the same day for sure. We will leave the pacemaker this is afternoon, so probably until late today or tomorrow morning, according to our working hours today. So I don't know when we are finishing. So we will decide if we retrieve the wire or not. Let me ask
Yes.
Dr. Diego. Dr. Diego, you have the microphone. You can speak or you can comment with me.
Okay. Valve is in good position. Is the
So the valve
maximum
is in good
gradient?
position. Yes.
Maximum gradient is
The mean
50
gradient,
and medium 5.
medium gradient is 5. Okay. And what about aortic regurgitation? Will you show the images?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Maybe for technicians, we are in New York. Let's check if he can speak. If not, I can continue describing his findings. So you can observe there, peak gradient is 15, mean is 5, and almost no rigor. Is that okay?
Yes.
What about
Rigor
pericardial
There
diffusion?
are no aortic regurgitation, ni leaks. No leaks.
Minimal leak. Okay, so we can
No,
put the
no leaks.
no leaks.
No.
No leaks at all. Okay, he is our friend, you know. I promise to pay cafe and croissants after the procedure. So we can check it anyway, but I for sure are confident with the echo measurements. It's just for educational issues, but not more. So the patient is still a bit under low pressure. Carmen, do you believe it's some lack of volume or something like this? So we will increase. Is she receiving some norepinephrine or something like this? No, nothing at all. So we will give some volume. we will retrieve the pigtail. We will do a final angio. And then 0. Because zeros are like, okay, perfect. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Yeah. So Dr. Lev, who is our moderator, and he was waiting for some question, online question, I mean, but he has two already very nice question. One is, what about to protect the left main? I was thinking about at the beginning. Actually, when we performed the planning, I thought that it was not necessary. Before starting the procedure, I was doubtful. Now, when we decided to deploy the valve a little bit deeper, I think it was not necessary, but it's something that for sure could have been done. And it could have been also a good practice, just to put a guide in a wire and probably a guide extension parked in the line in the left main. In case complication, you can advance the stent very easily. So we will do the angio final. So the outcome is perfect, no leak. So the valve, all the sinus are completely collapsed. I will pull the pigtail and we will try to close the groin. Pone AP. Vamos, we will reverse the heparin. Sí. And here, if you can zoom. So our idea here, let's go, vení acá, Juan, o vení vos, Franco. Our idea is to retrieve the sheath and put an stick French introducer, just in case we have bleeding, we can easily advance an additional angio seal. Let me give first the left mammary catheter, mammario. So as you can observe, we have several ideas about protection. And regarding the second question that Dr. Lev asked to us is about cerebral protection. Everybody knows that we have a small trial, some meta-analysis showing benefits with some surrogate endpoints. But in the last clinical trial, there were no significant difference about the stroke rate, but with a trend to less major stroke rate. So with a very good number of patients. So here, according to this, it's extremely difficult to get authorization. The stroke rate of our series is also very low. Most of our stroke occurred, I would say, after 6, 12, and also 24 hours. So in these cases, cerebral protection wouldn't have been useful. And so this is the reason why we're not using routinely. But today, actually, it's a very special day because I indicated for a patient who has a significant calcification of the ascending aorta. So this is the case that probably would benefit. No tires, ¿eh? Déjame, Franco. So, movete un poco y dame luz. Okay, let me see the thread here. Afloja, Franco, un poquito, déjamelo a mí. Okay. Aflójalo. Okay. We release and we have an acceptable, but not too much. Let me go to the pusher. Yeah. Afloja. Yeah, the question of Gustavo is why we are doing that. Why we have this wire protecting the groin. As you can observe here, we don't have bleeding. If you can zoom here. See, así no saturate the image. So the idea is if we don't have significant bleeding by side the 6 French, I think we were gonna get a good, closing of the hole. So now we will retrieve the 6 French, leaving the wire, and slowly, very slowly. I wanna push the thread very deeply to advance we still have some bleeding. And now the other one. Okay. We still have some bleeding. We will pull the wire out. I think we can compress for a while. And then we will do a test. And this is important to answer also the question. I don't have light. To Gustavo, because having the contralateral access, we will check it because it's a very obese patient. We can have a retroperitoneal bleeding without seeing anything here outside. Let's go to the groin. Remember that vascular complications are probably more important than TAVI complications. Let's put it in the right view, in the derecha. Okay, some zoom. Doctora Carmen did protamine to prevent heparinization. And I think we have a more than acceptable closing. We can compress with that balloon for probably 4 or 5 minutes. Movete por aquí, pone AP. I will cut the thread so that I don't straight the suture anymore. So Franco is gonna hold for a minute and we will close the skin. Trae la seda. Oh, we need to cut this. Okay. So in the other lab, Dr. Carlos Fava is preparing the second cases. I'm gonna move there. And we will start from the very beginning of the procedure. This case, we have done the vascular access in advance just to be sure in case we have some issue. We can do the 2 cases in the slot time we have assigned. So consider that she's a heavily obese patient. We will close this groin with the 8 French angiosin. So let me check if it's acceptable. If Franco can compress, but we can pull the wire. Vamos de vuelta acá, en la oblicua derecha. Saca la mano. Más. Perfecto. Zoom. Solta. Here. Yeah, we can. Another, yeah, angiosilate. Another small detail. AP. So here we are. No, not that much. Like here, we are pulling the wire. Pulling the wire first, just to protect the carrefour, because if you pull the catheter before and then the 18 wire, you might damage the carrefour. Yes. Now we will introduce the wire for the angiosil. and we will close it. Juan is going to compress then a little bit, and we are done. I forgotten, I think, to introduce Marisa, who is a technician, very much para aquí, from Medtronic, who was in charge of loading the valve, and she's moving to the other lab. Okay. As you can observe, we prepare patients in the surgical way. We use this sterile drape to to prevent any touch of the skin of these patients and to decrease the possibility of infections. Yes, excellent comment, Gustavo. Gustavo asked me why not using radial approach in these patients. Well, this is an excellent question because some centers are using the radial approach of second approach. But here, one of the problems we have is that we don't have, because availability in Argentina, a very long balloons to be used from the radial, 140 or 160. And even worse, if you have to deploy the stent in a patient like this, you have to go by humeral access. That we usually do it in some cases where we have complications when we do EVAR or TVAR and we have bleeding and we don't want to do a surgical cut down, and we put, please zoom up because we are finished. You can release. Everything is okay. Now, Franco, you are in charge of fixing the pacing wire for to send the patient to the CCU until tomorrow. So I will move. So maybe you can play the video. I will take these gloves out, sorry, and I will scrub again for entering to the next lab. Meanwhile, I have